there, welcome back to Legendary TV. Name is Phil Legend, emphasis on the legend. And I hope everyone is doing alright today because apparently, Pointless Hub decided to wake up and decided to talk about the amazing Spider-Man, the abandoned middle child. Which is crazy because now that I think about it, I barely think about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man as it is. Like, I even have a Blu-ray copy and I barely watch it. It's crazy. I'm not saying like it's forgettable. Like, there are some moments in it I actually like. And like, there might be some instances where it's better than most Spider-Man movies, but yeah, I just don't think about it as much. I just don't. I don't know why. Hopefully Cody can answer that question for us. Hopefully my laptop...
This video is sponsored by...
Dang, okay. I didn't even say anything yet. Hopefully my laptop isn't as cooperative today. So with that, let's dive on in.
Factor. So, Spider-Man.
Yeah. I'm going to die.
You don't need an introduction. He's Spider-Man. You probably knew who Spider-Man was before you knew about your own sentience. I know I certainly did. I knew about him before Batman, before Superman. I didn't know who the Joker was, but I sure knew about Mysterio. And the Lizard. Maybe it's a generational thing. The 90s had Batman, sure, but the 2000s were dominated by Spidey. My brother and I had so many Spidey things. We still even have the Spider-Man skateboard from 2001. I loved Spider-Man. I still like Spider-Man, no matter how much Marvel bungles everything. Spider-Man was Marvel's biggest thing.
Though, don't get your torches. I mean, as much as I like Spider-Man, I don't know, I just like Batman more. Probably because I'm into like detective work. Even though I don't look like a detective person, but hey, that's just me though.
Before the MCU, and Spider-Man will be Marvel's biggest face after the MCU. But there was a time not too long ago when it felt like that wasn't the case. There was a time when Spidey movies were a joke, a sheer act of hubris by Sony. There's a time 4 words sent shivers down the spines of any man-child in the 2010s. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. So I'm here to ask a very important question. What was the big deal? There have been 3 distinct phases of Spider-Man live-action movies. The Raimi movies. Yes, I know. We all love them. Okay, stop clapping. Shut up. The Tom Holland movies, who is still Spider-Man after 10 years. Yes, you are old. Then there's the middle
That
child,
is crazy to think about.
The black sheep, as far as most are concerned. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
I'm gonna be right back.
To the cheers of everyone in 2014, there was never a third. These movies were hated back then. Don't let the scores today lie to you. The internet back then showed no mercy. They were the easiest punching bags. I was on the internet at the time. I was in the trenches. I watched anything that made fun of these movies.
Like, I can understand Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, considering how it was kind of the weakest out of the bunch. But the first one too? Cause like, I don't know, I kind of liked it, but that was just back then though. So, and yeah, and for me, I don't know. I guess I didn't like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 as much. I mean, I saw it in theaters, but I forgot a lot of it. Now that I think about it, I think I might need to watch the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't know.
And that's just kind of how it was. The Garfield movies were a mistake. That's how I saw it. That's how I thought everyone saw it. Until last year. You see, a few months ago on Twitter, I started getting bombarded with the same clip over and over again from those Cinema Bot accounts. And all these posts were the same, praising the opening of Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I kind of got annoyed, because this isn't the opening of Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is the second scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2. The real opening is Peter Parker's parents dying in a plane crash. That annoyance
that was like the only scene I remember
this
from that
video.
Movie.
I think most people would say that he was providing a public service.
Most people would be wrong.
I watched all the Spider-Man movies for this video, except that one. And the reason I did that was to really put the Garfield movies into perspective. Because movies aren't made in a vacuum. They're products of their time and place, and responses to what came before. And what came before the Garfield movies was this guy.
Pizza time.
What a joy it was to revisit the Raimi movies, for many reasons. I've realized I enjoy these for an entirely different reason than I did as a kid. In 2004 I saw this and just thought, Spider-Man. But as an adult I see this and think, holy shit, that's the Evil Dead. Sam Raimi has such a distinct style. It warms my heart knowing that audiences went into theaters in 2001 and just accepted this at face value. I've seen takes about how the Raimi films have aged poorly or are worse than you remember, and I just can't agree with that. No movie in the 2000s looked like this. That's just Raimi. He's still doing shit like this to this day.
Send help.
It's so good. As a grown adult, I can view these movies as what they were intended to be. Pure camp.
I surrender!
Oh boy.
And that's not a bad thing. Camp is not a bad word. Camp doesn't mean ironic, it doesn't mean so bad it's good, it means heightened. Camp is a bunch of business tycoons turning into skeletons and being played completely straight. These are sincere movies with a dramatic story and serious characters, told in a wacky way. They are meant to be funny and serious at the same time. That's the real beauty. The first two could juggle all these different tones without skipping a beat. The third one is, well, a different story.
I like being bad. It makes me happy.
Spider-Man 3 is bad, but it's not bad for the reasons people thought it was in 2007. Everything with Bully Maguire is a piece of modern art. The jazz scene was too advanced for the general public's feeble little minds.
Now dig on this.
While 3 landed with a mixed reception, at least at the end of the day, the trilogy was over. Spider-Man 3 was, in fact, an ending. Was it a good ending? Was it a bad ending?
It's an ending, that's enough!
But you know, the rumor still persisted. The cope was still real. That maybe, just maybe, we could get a Spider-Man 4. Maybe the Raimi films could redeem themselves. Get a proper send-off. Maybe we could even pretend Spider-Man 3 was just a mistake and didn't matter. Shrek 4 style.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
Yeah, we never got a Spider-Man 4. Sony was doing a full reboot, which, funnily enough, it didn't even seem like many people minded at the time. At least in all the forums I can find. You really forget how hated Spider-Man 3 was. Everyone just went, okay, fine, start over, as long as it's not another origin story. Then it was another origin story. Hey, I'm Chef Bobby Boobadelli. As a broke college student who fights crime, I ironically did not have the time to cook. Which is funny because my superhero persona is also a chef. Luckily, I have the sponsor of today's video, Facta.
I can honestly relate to it as a college
delicious
student.
cooked meals right to your door. All you gotta do is put them in the microwave for 2 minutes and you're ready to go. I went with the Chef Choice meals for this one. I had such quality options like chimichurri filet mignon. Wow, it tasted good. I like steak. How about some pasta? They got pasta too. I forgot to record what the actual name was, but trust me, it's some quality stuff. These are meals made with balanced macros, and at least 2 vegetables per meal. Built to help you hit your nutrition goals this summer. 97% of people say Facta has helped them live an easier life. So why not try Facta out? It's an easy way to have home-cooked meals for those who don't have the time to cook. Like yours truly, I'm beating up thugs in the street. Head to Facta75.com or click the link below and use code PointlessHubFB50 to get 50% off your first Facta box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code PointlessHubFB50 at Facta75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Now, if you don't mind me, I gotta go swing from the...
Yeah, not gonna lie. Like, I prefer cooking for myself because at least I have something to do. But now that I'm in college, this could be my option. I might consider it.
Buildings.
I might.
That's my bit this month. That's what I'm doing. In 2000, Marvel rebooted many classic characters with the Ultimate series. For the first time since its inception, Spider-Man's origin was retold. Considering by this point Spidey had over 4 decades of a floating timeline, a reboot made sense to your average comic reader. For your average movie watcher, though, a reboot did not make sense. Especially after the most successful trilogy of the 2000s. The Amazing Spider-Man, ironically, should not be called Amazing Spider-Man. It has more in common with Ultimate Spider-Man, if anything. Peter Spider-Bite is connected directly to Oscorp. His parents died in a plane crash. In the behind-the-scenes,
Oh, that's my dog.
Dennis
Yes, I
Leary
have a
says he was
dog.
casted because he looks like Ultimate Captain Stacy. That's really where the similarities end, but my point here is that Ultimate was meant to be the jumping on point for new fans. The Amazing Spider-Man kinda just confused people. Today your average moviegoer gets the whole multiverse thing. Hell, Spider-Man has like 3 movies about that by now. But rebooting the character back in 2012 just felt wrong. Redoing the Spidey origin only 5 years after Spider-Man 3 felt wrong. Like, that's the time difference from now
I
and
can
No
see
Way
that.
Home. The best comparison I could make here is Batman. And Warner Bros. At least waited 8 years before having the most drastic tonal shift ever. Can't believe these came out less than a decade apart. That's fucked up.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
The selling point for Batman Begins made sense. There was a big difference. But for The
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man, it wasn't following up Batman and Robin, though it was following up this.
Gonna cry?
In the behind the scenes, the studio said that this new Spider-Man would be more realistic, more grounded, an opportunity to explore Peter Parker in a high school environment, which the original trilogy moved on from too fast. And while I'm sure there was genuine interest from those involved in doing a different take on Spider-Man, this is still Sony. The main reason they did a reboot was because Spider-Man 3 was the 12th highest grossing movie of the 2000s, and also to retain the rights. The biggest hurdle Amazing Spider-Man could never swing over was being compared to the Raimi trilogy. And for your average moviegoer whose only exposure to Spider-Man were those 3 films, if things were different, they were wrong. There is a lot wrong with the Amazing Spider-Man series, but it's also unfair to judge the movie based on what the Raimi ones did. These are 2 different takes on Spider-Man. I remember always seeing Uncle Ben's speech made fun of because it's like the writer is trying so hard not to repeat great power, great responsibility. But this isn't even copying the Raimi movies. It's what Ben says in the Ultimate comics.
But your father lived by a philosophy, a principle, really. He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things.
I don't think it was the wrong move for Amazing Spider-Man to go with this more grounded approach. I just think it should have been executed better. We have to watch Peter get bit by a spider, again, but worse. Like, instead of just wandering in a lab with other students, he breaks into a secret vault full of mysterious spiders that all fall on him at the same time. How the hell was he only bitten once? And we also had to watch Uncle Ben die again, but worse. Actually, no, I take that back. The way Uncle Ben dies is just so funny, I can't hate it. So after getting bit, Peter starts acting out, of course. Absolutely dunks on Flash with his sick-ass moves. After getting into a fight with Uncle Ben, Peter storms out to go buy some milk at a bodega, like you do. But he can't buy his milk because he's a few cents
broke.
short. So Peter tries to steal from Charity for some reason, like an asshole, and that doesn't go over well either. Peter walks out all mad, milkless, and alone. And then the guy behind him epically pranks the cashier, stealing the money out of his open register. The dude then throws the milk to Peter, cause he's just cool like that. Upon realizing he's been mogged, the cashier yells to the uncaring streets of New York to stop the guy who stole money out of his register.
Somebody stop that guy! Hey kids, little help?
Okay.
His cries fall on deaf ears for all, except for Uncle Ben, who was out and about trying to find Peter. The robber
Just,
trips
what
on
are
some
the
people,
odds?
falls, and his gun slips out onto the street right in front of old Ben. So what is Uncle Ben to do in this moment? What would you do in this situation? I'll tell you
Take
what
it.
Ben does. Probably not the smartest move. Uncle Ben was kind of a dumbass. Now, it might seem cruel to laugh at that, But was Uncle Ben in any danger from this robber? In other incarnations, he's getting robbed directly on his property, but this Ben is just strolling the street. This robber stole from the cash register, which, yeah, is wrong, but he didn't use the gun in a crime. In a way, this robber's personal property fell onto the ground, which Uncle Ben then leaped for to try to take it from him. What I'm saying here is that Uncle Ben was robbing this man. Now, you may disagree with that, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm mainly goofing, but my main point is that the movie made Ben's death way more complicated than it needed to be. It should not be up to debate in a court of law whether or not Uncle Ben was the aggressor in the situation where he f***ing died. What lesson is Peter supposed to take away from this? Don't accept milk from shoplifters? Was he supposed to tackle this guy the second the cashier beckoned him to do it? Was it his fault that old Ben was walking the street waiting to fight some random criminal that came upon his way? He really gets no clear lesson at first. Peter's lesson in the first movie is kind of just his arc throughout the movie. He only wears the mask because he's going around profiling criminals that might resemble the guy who Uncle Ben tried to rob. But you know, by the end, he learns an important lesson, that being Spider-Man is pretty neat. I remember one of the biggest complaints about Garfield's Peter Parker was that he's too cool. He's too attractive. Which, man, imagine being Tobey Maguire and hearing that. That's kind of rude. You're telling me this isn't the perfect man?
They love me.
A common sentiment back in the day was that Andrew Garfield was too cool to be Peter Parker. I think 90% of those complaints were really just because he had a skateboard. And I agree, the skateboard was dumb as hell. You could just see the studio meddling to make this Peter modern and relatable. But it wasn't just the studio involved here. Director Mark Webb purposely didn't want Peter Parker to be a nerd. He wanted to reimagine Peter as an outsider, as a drifter.
I view Peter Parker as not as necessarily as a nerd per se, because I think nerd in the current world means a different thing.
I don't know, Mark Webb. I think nerds still existed by the early 2010s. I was one of them. I get why they made this creative choice, though. They didn't want to repeat what the Raimi movies did with Tobey, and Tobey was kind of a nerd the entire time.
I have to see this show. You just let me in, I'll stand in the...
Also, dressing Andrew Garfield up like Urkel probably wouldn't have worked. Now that said, I don't think the movie sets it up well at all that Peter is an outsider either. Like, Gwen seems to like him. The only thing Peter does that makes him an outsider, I guess, is telling Flash to stop bullying a kid. Spider-Man in these two movies is the best visually we've ever seen in live action. But there's one major problem with Garfield's Spidey, at least in this movie. Peter and Spider-Man don't feel like the same guy. Let me explain. Amazing Spider-Man tries to have more realistic dialogue, with people tripping over each other's words or wandering in and out.
You want to, I don't know.
Oh, boy.
What away? I don't know. Just,
It's doing a different thing than the Raimi movies, where literally every line was precise and purposeful.
He stole that guy's pizza!
But the beauty of Tobey Maguire is that he's already kind of a fucking weird guy. He didn't need to try to be awkward. That's just him.
And to you for sending in your questions. Please check out
Go see our movie.
Andrew Garfield is not awkward, though. He comes off like a guy actively trying to be more awkward than he actually is, and you can see through the illusion. This hurts Peter the most, because he'll bounce between this awkward, aw shucks guy to, well, Spider-Man. In the comics, Spidey talks a lot, and that's fine. Spidey never shuts the fuck up, that's just his thing. Spidey allows Peter to say stuff he normally wouldn't, like he can insult Jameson right to his face and get away with it. When it comes to adapting that, though, you have to balance that right. Spidey and Peter should feel like the same guy. And half the time here, he doesn't. It's like Peter literally changes personalities the second he puts on the mask.
Okay, I gotta tell you this one thing, and it's about the vigilante and the car thief, alright?
Somebody's been a bad lizard.
The movie tries so hard to juggle its lovable, awkward Peter and this chatty, sarcastic Bug. It just comes off as Peter is either faking his awkwardness, or the Spider-Man mask works like the Jim Carrey one, and he becomes a funny cartoon character.
That's no way to go about it.
Knife. My weakness, it's small knives.
If they had just toned Peter's personality down in either direction, it could have worked more for me. There's a lot to love about this version of Spider-Man. Like the scene on the bridge. The lizard is rampaging, as he does, and Spidey has to catch all the cars being flung into the river. One car still has a kid in it. Peter takes off his mask, gives it to the kid, and with that courage, the kid climbs up to get saved. It's a great scene. It kind of encapsulates Garfield's Spider-Man for me. Gwen Stacy. No, not that one, not that one, or that one. Yes, that one.
Sorry, I love you. Don't hate me.
Dang, crazy.
She's the best love interest in any of these movies, right? That's not even a controversial take. Even people that dislike these movies like Gwen. These two have some real chemistry. Like, sometimes too much chemistry. Should I be watching this? I can leave if you guys want. I gotta go pick up some groceries anyway. And you might think, oh well, of course these two have chemistry. It's because they were dating in real life. Well, guess what, bucko? Every Spidey couple is dated in real life. That's just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man was the only one that actually translated that onto the screen. What this movie does is excel at letting people just be people. That's what Mark Webb does well, if anything. They got the guy who did 500 Days of Summer to do a Spider-Man movie, and you can tell.
What's your name?
You don't know my name?
No, I know your name. I just want to know if you know your name.
These movies might have bullshit plots, pretty dumb writing, and questionable creative decisions, but I do enjoy those little moments between characters in Peter's life. That's nice. You know, for the most part.
That's a question. That's a question.
Peter and Gwen is what makes these movies special. Not because any of their conversations are especially funny or memorable, but they do feel real. It's like these two have a dumb language only they understand.
I don't know, we could, or we could do something else, or we could, if you don't, I mean, like, we could...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, either one.
Stuff that feels kinda cringy to watch as an outsider looking in, but it works, oddly enough. The strength of their relationship is conveyed more in these little moments than any grand gesture or kissing upside down. In a very talented cast with Andrew Garfield, Martin Sheen, and Sally Field, Emma Stone steals the show. She's the clear highlight. She honestly salvages a lot of these scenes bouncing off of whatever awkward thing Andrew Garfield is trying to do. She's always on Peter's level, and that's why it's such a breath of fresh air that he just rips off the band-aid and tells her he's Spider-Man immediately. Now, I know that in the comics, Peter constantly flubbing his relationships because of his secret is a pretty core part of the character, but man, can it be frustrating sometimes. Spider-Man 2 explored that to its painful limit, with Peter not even being able to show up to a damn play. When Peter dated Gwen in the comics, so much of their relationship was Peter just bolting off whenever something went wrong, and she thought he was just a little bitch. And yes, once again, that is a part of the character, but for the general audience, that would just seem like repeating what the Raimi movies did.
Oh, that boy of yours is a real hero.
So they just have Gwen find out immediately and save us another ride on the misunderstanding carousel. I like that. This Gwen is too interesting of a character to just be constantly putting up with the same Peter excuses. This early reveal also introduced an interesting dynamic into the mix, as now it's not just Peter's secret to keep anymore, it's their secret as a couple. Which means mainly making sure that Gwen's dad, Captain Stacy, doesn't find out. Captain Stacy is the most important character in both movies. At first you think he's just going to be a standard cop who dislikes the hero for doing his job better than him. But then, come the scene at dinner, you realize, oh damn, this guy's actually right.
The car thief was leading us to the people who run the entire operation. It's been a 6-month-long sting. It's called strategy. I'm sure you're aware of the term strategy.
He knows Spidey is profiling criminals that look the same in some quest for revenge. And up until now, that's exactly what Peter is doing, even if he tries to rationalize otherwise. This isn't some J. Jonah Jameson type of beef. He knows that this type of costume stuff is only gonna lead to trouble, which is why he has his final dying wish be one very simple promise.
Leave Gwen out of it.
That seems pretty cut and dry, right? A dying father doesn't want his daughter involved in any of this dumb bullshit. A giant lizard man just impaled him. It's understandable. And Peter does keep that promise for like 10 minutes.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Mr. Parker.
Yeah, but those are the best kind.
As much of an easy dunk it would be for me to just roast this, I want to be a little fair. Like, in the next movie, Peter's having Halo 3 level hallucinations of Captain Stacy. He's appearing like Cortana because Peter is so overcome with guilt that he keeps seeing Gwen. That said though, the ending line was still dumb as hell.
But those are the best kind.
What does that line even mean, Peter? Why would you say that? A man is dead. Why would she even smile at that? She knows what he means. She knows he made a promise to her dad. It's just a weird emotion to leave the audience with. It's meant to be all quirky and fun, like, haha, Peter broke his promise to a dying man. Oh well, he'll learn the hard way, I guess.
Ah, dude.
The biggest tragedy of Amazing Spider-Man is that as much as I'd like to praise it for its different sense of direction or the chemistry between Peter and Gwen, at the end of the day, this is a movie about stopping a lizard man from turning everyone into lizards. The Lizard is my second favorite Spider-Man villain. Sorry, Connors, nothing can beat Mysterio. Which is why it pains me that the live-action Lizard we're stuck with is this one. Gah. I will never like this design. I
mean,
can forgive this movie so much, but I cannot forgive that.
Valley,
I get they're trying to do the whole humanoid reptile thing, but they did not have to. The lizard is supposed to look like a lizard. Even in his original look, he at least had a snout. He's not even that green. And worst of all, he only wears his lab coat once. This is just a naked man with a skin infection. I don't care if he's supposed to look uncanny. I wanted a cool-ass dinosaur. I would have sacrificed every precious Peter and Gwen moment just for that. They say art is subjective, but in this case, oh no, it's objective. The tragedy here is that the lizard could have worked so well, but he just doesn't.
I guess.
I have nothing against Rise Ifans, Rhys Ifans, Otto Hightower. He does fine. But the biggest problem with Curt Connors in this movie is that he's just too isolated. Curt Connors should not be off-putting. He's a family man. He has a loving wife and son who deeply care about him, and that part of his character is what makes him so distinct from all the other weirdos. It's what makes him tragic. He's a guy who had one bad experiment, and now, on occasion, he might transform and become a monster at a moment's notice. That's something that could have easily been worked into another origin movie for Spider-Man.
But
Connors
never
is trying to
happened.
regrow his arm, and Peter casually fixes his formula. Peter feels guilty that he's kind of contributed to Connors turning into the Lizard. Like the Raimi movies gave the Sandman this whole sad backstory he didn't have in the comics. He looks at his daughter's picture and a sad theme plays. Meanwhile, in this movie, the actual family man is just the guy that turns people into lizards with fart clouds. That's all the general audience is ever gonna think of him as. Hey, Future Cody here editing this video. So apparently they did give him a son in a deleted scene. The kid is never mentioned again.
Why?
This climax, man, it's just...
Poor Peter Parker.
Oh no, the lizard is about to gas up all of New York. Watch out. It ends with a cliche light in the sky. It's just like, okay. It's so funny that the lizard finds out Peter is Spider-Man because Peter just has his name on the camera. I thought you were supposed to be smart. Overall, Amazing Spider-Man 1 is alright. Funnily enough, it works best after watching all 3 Raimi movies in a row. You'd think it would look worse in comparison, but it really just helps illuminate what they intentionally did differently, so it wasn't just more of the same. Amazing Spider-Man 1 was, if anything, a decent base to build something on. If the sequel was good, then Sony would kind of have a home run on their hands. All they had to do was wind up the bat and hit the ball. It's Spider-Man. What could go wrong?
No. It was an out.
They somehow burned down the baseball
3
field.
outs. Yeah. Huh. The Beetle. I think I've only heard of him through the Lego Marvel Superheroes. But yeah, that's the Amazing Spider-Man, alright. I mean, now I just kind of look at it. Now I just look at the movie. How I look at this different now. It's crazy, but I don't care. It's still gonna be in my head regardless. But dang, I really got nothing else. But other than that, Bill Legend signing off. Good day.